Hey y'all, Billy and Michelle from Perma Pastures Farm. Seeing this little ball of fur? This was a little feral cat that's been running around here. We'd only see glimpses of her every once in a while. And for a month, I mean, she's been surviving on voles and mice and whatever else. Well, anyway, somebody who shall remain nameless ended up snatching this thing up. We brought it to the vet, very, very malnourished. If she has anything to do with it, this cat will be quite enormous.
She's already gaining weight.
Yeah. Anyway, she's got this cat, somebody who said she couldn't stand it, but this is the cuddliest feral cat you ever seen in your life. Anyway, we're trying to figure out a name for it. And here are the choices you have. And so the way we're going to work this is whoever votes the most on the name for this cat, that's what we're going to name it.
So you have to leave, we're going to give you the names that we've come up with so far. And we want you to leave a comment. We want you to leave the name in the comments, and whatever name gets the most comments, that's what we're going with.
All right. So we won't say who came up with what, but the names are Calamity Jane, Doris 2, because there's already one Doris in the house, which I don't like. But anyway, yeah, you like me too, Kat? What else do we got? Ginger. And then the other name is and he makes this crazy noise, is Thugnificent Agamemnon Jackson III. And those are the choices.
It's a female, by the way.
It's androgynous. Thugnificent could be a female. Thugnificent Agamemnon Jackson III. You like that name, don't you, Thuggy?
Dad just wants to call the cat Thuggy.
So, yeah, we got Milk Boy that goes Old Testament on everything outside. We need this one to go straight ghetto on the mice that decide to show up every once in a while. So anyway, leave your submission down below. With that said, it's time to get on to real business. All right, y'all, here we are at the West End Bakery. There's a couple of chefs in here I want you to talk to, or there's a couple of chefs in here, better still. They're friends of ours, and they got a pretty cool story. They got a lot of background. We'll talk more about them in the future. But the thing I really want to point out, Shakespeare said, the apparel oft proclaim the man, okay? Meaning that if I'm going to go in here and do a cold call to these people, I want to make sure that I'm clean shaven. Unless you have a beard, make sure you trim it up. Don't go walking around looking like some Asheville hipster, okay? Just trim yourself up, okay? Also, shirt with a collar. And I want to give a straight up shout out to my man Jack Spearco, who came up with this. We're going to leave a link down below so where you can get one of these, because like I said, the apparel oft proclaim the man. Carbon capture compost, you dig? It helps. You look official because you have a shirt. You don't necessarily have to tuck it in. You don't want to wear really, really nice pants, but you want to look the part. You want to look like you do what you do, okay? So, I'm all squared away, shirt's clean, because the only time I ever use it is when I do this sort of thing. So with that said, y'all, let's go inside and see what's up. All right, so here we are. We're in a real deal bakery with two real deal chefs, okay? Friends of ours, friends over at Perma Pastures Farm. And do y'all want to say who you are or not?
Yeah, we just are ready to reopen the West End Bakery in West Asheville.
Yeah, so how cool is that? So we got Donnie and Stephanie, both of them legit, fantastic chefs, and they're going to give us some pointers on what you should do or not do when you're approaching someone that owns a business that produces, in this case, a bakery and a number of other things, the things you should and shouldn't do. So right off, what's the best time of day and what's the best day of week for a person to come in and say, hey, I'm looking for food scraps?
Preferably, it would usually be earlier in the week. Monday through Wednesday typically are the lower customer base for restaurants, and usually earlier in the morning before we get overloaded with or inundated with questions and issues that come up through the day.
I've always taught between the hours of 10 and 2. Would that be accurate from your point of view? I mean, if you're going to come by and...
Our lunch rush is between 10 and 2, so I might recommend even earlier than that or after 2.
Okay. Now, when they show up, now this is part of my business, carbon capturing company. Now, would you say, if I were to approach you right now and say, hey, my name is Billy, I'm a permaculture designer, I'm trying to save this planet, and one of the ways I go about it is I take food scraps that would ordinarily go into the dumpster. Do I look legitimate? I got a good haircut, clean shaven, got a shirt that looks official. Do I look official to you?
Look official to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stephanie's looking at me like I wouldn't trust this guy with a $5 bet.
No, I was thinking that in your spiel, you should also just like tell us what you need from us. Because that's the first thing is I'm like, well, how much work is it going to be on my end to help you out?
Right. So how awesome is that? Also with a person, I mean, you want to know that this person is legit. So if I were to tell you that what I'm doing with the stuff you get, when I tell you, hey, I'm going to ultimately make compost out of the stuff that you would ordinarily throw in the dumpster, would that make you lean towards wanting to do work with me? If I tell you, hey, this stuff that you would ordinarily throw in the dumpster, I'm going to make compost with it. Is that a selling point, do you think?
Absolutely, less waste.
Well, and I think you're also in the food trend of the current day and age where it is, you know, everybody's trying to go more green. On the top of it, we pay a lot in waste. So anything that we don't fill up our dumpsters in can give us more leeway. And if you're taking biodegradable mass, that's not going to cause odor.
I see. So you're not necessarily, so at the end of the day, you're actually being a blessing to them in a lot of different ways, because now, like with some of the Asian grocery stores, they're like, absolutely, I'll work with you. So instead of my dumpster guy having to come twice a week, he only has to come once, because you're taking the cardboard and the food waste that would ordinarily he would have to pay to have sent off and eventually go into a landfill.
Exactly.
So what are some don'ts? What are some things that people shouldn't do if they were to come? I mean, obviously hitting you at the middle of a lunch rush is obviously going to aggravate y'all quite a bit, I would think.
For sure.
Would it be better to call first and set up a time? Or would you even entertain that?
I mean, most restaurateurs we run on small margins, we're always entertaining ways to cut down on waste, cut down on costs. So, I mean, a phone call would at least give us more time to dedicate to you. If you come in cold calling, I may get pulled 5 directions before I have a chance to actually stop and get to listen to your pitch or whatever. So
if you cold call, maybe have your information already ready to go, and maybe email also, so that way you can say, hey, I'm the person that came in today.
Right. Now, would it also hurt, because in your other business, she's known me because I'm a pretty regular biscuit customer, but I got to know you through the other place before we ever met, personally, in something that wasn't a professional capacity. Would it help if a person was already a customer?
Yeah, absolutely.
It would. So you want to patronize. So the point is, it's a self-licking ice cream cone, so to speak. Whereas I could be a blessing to you because I'm doing business with you, buying your stuff that I eat anyway, and at the same time maybe saving you dumpster costs and some of the other things. Now, are there concerns as far as, are you aware? Because for anybody out there that thinks, hey, I'm going to make a call, I don't currently get their stuff. There's a couple of reasons for that. But are there any hoops that you would have to jump in order to give your food scraps to someone?
I think just there would be some. I mean, depending on where they're going, I don't want to be giving you meat products if you're going to be feeding your pigs. So there might be some loopholes in training and processes internally, and some cost if we have to get new bins or specialty bins to be able to warehouse the product until you take it. I mean, there are some personal intake costs that I think people should realize that behind the scenes it does take a lot of training to get people to break habits and go to a new routine.
Maybe helping restaurants put the procedure in place, like, hey, we have done this before at another restaurant and we made this poster that's laminated to put on the side of the bucket so everyone that works there knows what's not allowed, what is allowed, just stuff that makes it easier for the restaurant to roll out the program.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So are there any other tips that you two, before we talk about what y'all are doing here and the awesome things you're going to be doing here, are there any other tips you would encourage someone to say to a restaurateur to maybe have better luck at getting their stuff? Now, in the past, I've told people, because from experience, when I would go into a business and say, I want to feed my stuff to my pigs, the answer was always no. But when I told them I'm going to go in there and make compost out of it, the answer was typically yes. Is there a reason for that? Is it because of the litigious society we live in and people are more, Because if you take this stuff, go out of here and get sick with it, then somebody could probably come back on you. Right. But if I'm making compost with it, and it's on the record, that's what I'm doing.
It seems safer or something, yeah, maybe.
I absolutely agree. I think but that's all verbalization. We can, you can say whatever you want to say. If there's some kind of baseline relationship, because it is such a trend market right now, we've also had the opposite where people flake out after a while and then don't come pick up. And so having that relationship between you and the person initiated to know that I can actually trust that you are doing the right things with the product and you are legit, then it's more acceptable for us to take the risk on actually starting a new program.
Well, it certainly doesn't hurt when you drop off a loin of, let's say, Katahdin lamb or some pig or something like that. So those are things that you can do, or whether it's honey or some of the other things that you may produce at your farm. Would it kind of grease this? Would it help out a little bit in terms of trying to get a relationship with folks out there? If you could take maybe some things that you can't just find my honey anywhere. You can't just find whatever it is I have just anywhere, whether it's eggs, beef, pig, it doesn't matter. But it wouldn't hurt, I'm guessing, if somebody were to come in and have like a peace offering of sorts.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, and it also helps for the team and the staff, so that way you're telling a story. You're like, hey, you know, Billy, he brought in that honey, this is where the food scrap is going to his farm. And so now when they see the honey, they're like, the farm, the food scrap, it all starts making more sense to everyone. It's about telling the story so they can remember why they're doing the extra step.
Cool. So let's get down to brass tacks. You guys are about to kick off something that's pretty awesome. You're in the process of cleaning a place up that needed a lot of it, and you're working day and night to get this place off and running. So why don't you tell them what it is, where it is we're standing, because people are asking. They want to know in some of the videos we did before. So why don't you tell them where we're standing and what you guys are going to be doing here?
You want to lead?
Oh, sure. So we just purchased the West End Bakery. It's 757 Haywood in West Asheville. It's an institution. It's been around for almost 20 years, had a couple different owners, but awesome. Our landlords are still the original owners that opened this place and turned it into what it is. With a little bit of love, we're hoping to bring it back for the community staple and add some modern twists and a little bit of our personal flair and touches to it, but we're really excited about it.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are world travelers, right? And you've studied this craft all over the planet. How many people can say that? And so I imagine you're going to take all those influences and you're going to do some really awesome stuff in this place.
We're going to do some very playful stuff. We want to stay very utilitarian for the neighborhood, but I think with the travels and some things we really missed from the travels, we're gonna try to launch here in the next few months and do some playful, fun world pastries, I guess.
All the time we meet people in the industry that are like missing certain food from the city that they're from, and I don't see why we can't give it a shot.
Yeah.
Awesome. So check it out, West End Bakery. When's going to be the grand opening? Do we know yet?
January 5th is what we're aiming for, but you know.
We might have a soft opening here and there, but we'll have a big party, big blowout in January.
And where can they find you? I mean, do you have a presence on
Instagram, Facebook, Google, you name it. We hope to launch. We'll have TikTok up and going soon as well.
Yeah, we have a website, thewestendasheville.com.
And yeah.
All right, that's how you do it, y'all. Go check them out. We'll be back in the future, do some updates and see how everything's going. Make sure all the electric work's doing what it's supposed to. I'm sure it will. Everything's going to be working out. Check them out. You're going to be glad you did. All right, that's a wrap. So we went inside, saw what was up, put some food in my plate, and some Coke in my cup. That's a quote from the Fat Boys from way back. But a lot of you guys don't know about that. Anyway, hopefully that stuff was very helpful to you. We get more than we need. And the reason why I said I'm not reaching out to them yet is, well, I'll cover it in the future why that's going to be the case. But when they do get a program in place, because they got too much to worry about right now than this. But when they do get a program in place, who do you think is going to be at the front of the line? Me. And the reason is because I've cultivated this relationship not on the basis of what I get, but on the basis of, hey, these are some really cool people. Maybe I can work with them. And guess what? All these chefs no other chefs. How cool is that? This is what I'm talking about. It doesn't necessarily have to be a place like we're on the west side of Asheville. It doesn't have to be a place like this. We did it in small town Texas. It can be done anywhere. It comes down to your relationships, but don't make the mistakes I made early on. Remember, the apparel oft proclaim the man. Start with that, look the part. We'll see you next time.